So here we are in the famous Straight Blast Gym. How you doing, man?
Welcome, great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. I obviously bumped into you last year, we didn't really get to connect.
Yeah.
So here I am, I thought I'd go get in touch and see if you can put me through a kind of, MMA style fitness session.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun today. Give you a feel of what it's like to be in a competitive MMA fight. So let's have a little walk through and
make a cage fire out of me, yeah?
Yes, sir. So no shoe gym, so everybody leaves their shoes here and then we walk on through. This was actually the first cage that I owned. It was a very small cage. It's what I got Conor ready for his UFC debut 5 or 6 years ago. And then when we eventually got the big cage, which I'll show you in a moment, we turned this into a shop.
Love it, yeah, the shop.
So we swapped it to the Shoptagon. From face to face, it's 18 feet, so it's actually quite small. This is very rarely used. It might be used on small regional shows, but the UFC cage, the full-size cage, is 30 feet, so almost twice the size. So when Conor went from fighting in this, it was like fighting in a telephone box into fighting in the cage, which is a much bigger space.
Yeah, more room.
And that's young Curry there, one of our up-and-comers.
Hello, mate.
A name for the future.
Yeah?
A name for the future.
No? Yeah.
He will be. He will be. For sure he will.
See you in a couple of years, mate. Good luck, mate. How long did you have the name Straight Blast Gym? Was that from the start?
So I had the worst name in the world. I was called The Real Fight Club when I was 18 and I thought that was cool. And I had 20 members and we all just used to put our heads through walls and do stupid stuff. And then in 2001, I fought in South Africa and I fought a member of Straight Blast Gym International. Okay. And I just hit it off with his coach after the fight. I brought him here the following year, 2002, 16 years ago. And I was Straight Blast Gym Ireland since then. So 16 years SBG Ireland.
What I loved about the documentary, The Notorious, was like the self-belief when he said, like, he knew he was going to be a champion, and that kind of self-confidence and belief is the mindset. It's just as important as the physical side of fighting, isn't it? Like to believe in yourself like that. Yeah,
and a lot of fighters say that. A lot of fighters say the mental side is more important than the physical side. And then you ask them, okay, how much do you train the mental side? And they don't. So if mental is a bigger part than physical, you should be training mental even more than the physical.
How do you train mental then? How do you do that?
There's simple techniques. There's visualization techniques that Conor was doing before I'd heard of anyone else doing them. Like he could tell me when he was going to fight, he knew exactly what was going to happen long before it happened because he had done it 1,000 times in his head. He had warmed up in backstage. He had heard the crowd. He had smelt the arena. He had seen the audience. He would really immerse himself in the fight night. So by the time fight night came along, where a lot of people do maybe been training in kind of a quiet gym for 8 or 12 weeks, and then they walk out to 15,000 people and they get shocked. He used to walk in going, yeah, this is my 1,000th time doing this. And there's been plenty of experiments done to show that your brain doesn't really know the difference between you imagining doing something and you physically doing something. So he was getting a lot more training in than the average person because he would do his physical part, which realistically you can do 2 or 3 hours a day. But he was tripling that by doing the mental side. He was visualizing techniques, visualizing fights, just super focused. Like he said, he got to the stage where he wasn't able to go see a movie because 10 minutes into the movie he's thinking of a wrestling sequence or something. So
he literally even plays out. If he's grabbed a certain way, he can play out how he's going to get out of that move, sort of thing.
Yeah, some guys come in, they get caught with a move, and they put it out of their head, and they come in the next day, and they might get caught again. If he got caught with a move, trust me, he was 10 hours at home thinking about that, and messaging me and looking at videos and figuring out, come in the next day with a solution. So that's what you need if you want to separate yourself.
So he's not just a physical, but he's a smart fighter as well. It's a smart.
You can't get good at this sport with just brawn. It'll get you to a certain level, but then you're going to meet guys who are good physical athletes and high fight IQ, and he's got that nice combination of both.
So how long, on average, it takes someone who comes in and says, "I want to be a fighter," to like them get into that level? Is it like we're talking 5, 6, 7 years to get to that?
That sounds about right. That sounds about right. Now you're going to get guys that coming in, and you might show them an exercise, and they're going to come in the next day. They've spent all night doing it, and then right away you can see, okay, this guy's got a certain mindset. He's going to fast track it. But yeah, I think 5, 6 years is a good for skill development.
Amazing. So what to you, like what makes, because obviously MMA involves so many different sports, what makes the perfect fighter for you, do you reckon?
Yeah, great question. I'm always thinking about it. And the only thing I can think of is the real answer is, I looked it up, it's a noun, stick-to-itiveness.
Stick-to-itiveness?
Yes. And it basically means you have a tenacity and a perseverance for showing up day in, day out, day in, day out. It's kind of like what you do. You're not going to show somebody, you're not going to give someone like a diet and a 6-week training program. You're it's a lifestyle, you know, and mixed martial arts has to become a lifestyle. There's no point coming in here with a big story and you're going to do this and you go crazy for a week, and then week 2 I see you twice, and week 3 I see you once. You know, you don't have that stick-to-itiveness to just show up day in, day out. And you know, again, obviously Conor's a big name out here. I use him for examples. When he blew up on the UFC stage with his UFC debut, people didn't see the 7-8 years before that, where he was showing up in a cold damn gym, day in, day out, twice a day, every day, never missing a session, putting in the hours. You know, Muhammad Ali used to say, like, long before Dance Under Those Lights, there's, you know, hours and hours of road work, hours and hours of gym work. So it's a certain mindset. A lot of people want the rewards. They want to step out in front of 15,000 people. They want the accolades. But are you going to put in that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years consistent work?
That's what I loved about the documentary, the archive footage. I just thought, I love the fact that they had all that old footage from when he was training back there, like, just because you never knew where it was going to go. But to see all that, he really, you know, putting in the work and living at home with his mum, it's just, I just love it as a success story.
And like I said, I don't know, I've had 1,000 fighters in the last 20 years, and there's just a handful that have that just day in, day out, just the grind, as we call it. And it's not easy. People want the fame, they want the quick results. But I don't think there's any good skilled based, whether you want to learn the piano, or you want to learn how to box, you want to learn how to dance, any of these like heavily skilled activities, we need to put in the hours. There's no escaping hours.
Absolutely,
I keep the guy's first set of gloves.
Oh, that's brilliant.
UFC debut, so that was Conor in his big debut in Stockholm. Another one of my guys, Gunnar Nelson from Iceland, that was his debut gloves. He fought in the UK. This is a pretty cool mural up here. This was actually an Irish kid, Will Sliney from Cork, and he's a Spider-Man artist.
Oh, right.
He's actually works on the Marvel comics, and I'm a massive Spider-Man fan. I'm a lot more buff in cartoon form than in real life. These are all kind of my original fight team that started with me about 15 years ago. That was it, like I had 8 or 9 fighters. Now I have 68 fighters and 750 members. You know, and it started from that.
Amazing, man. What a journey.
It's been so
What's
journey.
next? So obviously, you know, Conor's amazing. At the end of that documentary, like, wow, you've achieved this amazing thing together. What's your next kind of ambition personally for yourself?
You know, I want to replicate it. It was great going with Conor and winning a belt, but I feel if we just win one belt, then it was an anomaly. You know, we've got a lot of great fighters here. There's no reason why we can't win more UFC belts, more Bellator belts, more you know, recognized world title belts. That's my goal.
It's huge.
So here we go.
When they fight in UFC, this is the standard size. I cannot believe how big it is.
It's first UFC size cage in Europe, this one.
And this is the actual fencing that's on there, yeah?
That's the fencing that they use. It's starting to, as you can see, it's kind of starting to belly out a little bit.
But because when they're in the corner getting pummeled against that can't be nice on the side of the head either, can it? That doesn't feel good.
Nice. It's funny.
That's painful, isn't it?
Yeah.
With someone's weight leaning into it.
It's definitely not.
And you're leaning against that. Wow.
It's funny when guys start off training here, they want to train in the cage, you know, and they're against the fence, getting taken down, but they get rubbed. And then we start training against the padded walls a lot more kind.
Getting smashed up against that can't be a nice thing.
It's not the most fun thing in the world. Let's go in and have a look around.
He bounces up there when he wins, doesn't he? He's sitting on the edge of the cage. I can't believe how big it is. How big's a boxing ring, like a professional boxing ring? How big would that be?
Boxing ring is about 20 feet, rope to rope.
Right, 20 feet.
And we're 30 feet.
Yeah.
So 50% bigger.
A lot, man. And they move around a lot, don't they? I mean, when you watch them fight, they're covering a lot of ground as well.
Yeah.
Can't believe that. I feel small in here, and when you've got a crowd of 50,000 people, whatever, it must feel tiny, yeah.
It's intense. This is my favorite photo. 20 years training. This is my favorite photo that we ever caught.
So this is of all the photos you and Conor ever had, this is your favorite photo?
Of all the photos I've had in training, this is my favorite photo. Well, the words mean a lot to me as well. I'm always telling my fighters that there's no such thing as talent. It's what you put in. A lot of the guys, I think a lot of people, even when they start off, they go, well, what's the point of me putting in all this effort? I'm not talented. But the reality is, talent is the result of hard work.
Yeah.
And I tell my guys, look, you train every day, twice a day, like Conor did for 7-8 years. And then suddenly you appear on the scene and people see you for the first time. They go, oh, that kid's talented. Yeah. Wait, hold on a second. Let's go back 8 years when he walked in the gym first. And he didn't know how to do everything.
Like me in 8 years' time, we look back at this footage.
Exactly. We're going to be like, oh my God, 2-time world champion Joe Wicks. But yeah, so there's no talent here. This is hard work. This is an obsession. Talent does not exist. We are all equals as human beings. You could be anyone if you put in the time. You will reach the top, and that's that. I'm not talented, I am obsessed. And then that photo is my favorite fight of all time. Conor versus Nate Diaz 2. And a very tough fight. Him and Nate, I kind of describe them as like Batman and the Joker. They're like the perfect nemesis, the perfect opponent for each other.
He just don't stop, does that, Nate?
Just never stops. Never stops. And Conor dropped him a bunch of times.
I looked on YouTube and it showed the audio that you were talking to him between the rounds, and I thought it was amazing. You were just saying like, I mean, what's your voice? I think it is. You're saying recover.
I would have been.
Because Conor's not saying nothing, is he? He's obviously breathing, but it was nice.
And look at that face there. There's a face he's been through 4 hard rounds. We're going out to the 5th and final round. Yeah. He's trying to slow his heart rate down.
You are. You're well happy.
Yeah, like I'm not. I get to walk out now, you know. You got to face that man.
But at this point, you knew he had kind of won because he'd taken the rounds, hadn't he? Did you?
He was up. I had him up 3 rounds to 1 at least, and that was true on the scorecard.
He had so much. That Nate Diaz bleeds so much. He had so much blood in him, wasn't he? Just like.
He's just. If you look under the dictionary warrior, there's Nate Diaz, a picture of him there. He's a great fighter.
But I love that quote. You know, it's true. Like we're all equals, and he's proved that dedication in anything you can, you know.
Yeah, I'm always telling my guys, you know, people might look at your story right now, and go, oh, I want that. What? Give me that in a month. Give me that kind of following. Give me that kind of backing. But they don't remember, you know, when you were 18, you were doing your personal training and getting trains everywhere, getting buses everywhere, and pushing yourself up at 5 a.m. And it's these kind of background stories I'm always trying to impress upon my guys, you know, that don't look at Conor's situation now and think you're getting it after one fight. It might happen in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah.
But if you love what you do, if you're obsessed with it, guess what? The time is going to pass anyway, and there you are. You're going to reach there, you know.
Totally, man.
And Conor certainly ran with it when he got his break. He'd actually quit MMA when he got his call for the UFC. He'd quit a couple of months earlier.
Why is that?
Stuff was going on in his life, and he was like, yeah, I'm just done. I'm doing this 10 years. I'm fighting for 500 euros 3 times a year. You know, what money is that? His girlfriend's driving him around in a beat-up Peugeot. And then the call came, and he actually was one of my trainers, and he wasn't showing up to teach his class. So I'm trying to call him, and he wouldn't answer the phone because he thought I was ringing him to give out to him that he wasn't teaching his class. Right. So eventually he picks up the phone. I'm like, Conor, UFC, 8 weeks, Stockholm, what do you think? You know, you can imagine what he said. Yeah. And then we went in there, he first round knockout. And
so how do you get to that? Did they like invite him personally? I mean, how do you get invited into UFC?
So you've got to be getting the wins. You know, on the European circuit, you've got to be beating people. Yeah. And there was an online swell getting behind Conor that he was knocking everybody out and around. He was this great personality on the microphone. You know, and that's, to be honest, like to really make it on the professional scene, you have to be able to fight. Don't get me wrong on that. You got to get the results. But it's no harm having a good personality as well. When you put both of those together, people pay attention.
Look, mate, the gym's amazing. What a venue. And the story, you know, your journey as well as Conor's is really inspiring. Not just for people who love UFC, but for anyone starting a business or just got a vision of whatever, transforming their body. So really think we're going to love the story. What are you going to do with me today, eh? What are you going to put me through?
So we're going to do a fight simulation based on MMA style drills and cardio. Now I come up with this because sometimes in a training camp, with a lot of sparring, you're taking punches and getting thrown, your body gets very sore. We need to give the body a rest. Right. So you can try to simulate what the heart and lungs feel in a fight on a treadmill or on a rower. You know, I can get you up to 160, 170, I can hold you there, and that will simulate the cardiovascular needs. But the technique won't be there, the punches, the kicks, the moving around on the ground. So I come up with this first of all for Conor, so I could work him hard without getting him any injuries, or if he had a sore knee or something, we could very closely simulate a fight without taking the knocks and bangs.
Yeah, all right.
So it's kind of like MMA fitness.
That suits me, so I ain't got to get knocked, because I said, do you reckon he's going to knock me about today? And Dom's like, you're going to give me a slap, leave me with a black eye.
Not at all, not at all.